Brendan Sorsby has been granted eligibility, an injunction to play in 2026 by a judge in Lubbock, Texas. Let's talk about what this means for Texas Tech, what this means for college football after the bumper. What's up, folks? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. How do you feel about Brendan Sorsby being granted an injunction to play college football by a judge in Lubbock, Texas? Wow, this is colossal news, and this will change college football for the future in ways that we can't really understand just yet. But while Texas Tech fans will rejoice, and they will have their star quarterback, and they will enter into this season as one of the top 25 teams in the country, it's also wild to think about just what this judge has opened with a can of worms here, man. So let's talk about what the injunction also says, what the NCAA can do or says, and what, well, Brendan Sorsby's lawyer has said. And then I'll get to what I really think is going to go happen here. So the injunction is going to allow for Brendan Sorsby to play this 2026 season, but it also says that he won't play in the first two games of the season for Texas Tech. He's going to be suspended for those two games. Those two games are against Abilene Christian and Oregon State. We don't expect that Abilene Christian or Oregon State are going to be good enough to challenge Texas Tech without Brendan Sorsby, but it does throw in that you're probably going to need to get Kirk Francis started, with the ones and get him used to it for a couple of games, as well as maybe just monitor a little bit closely, not to say they haven't been already, Will Hammond's return if that thing is possible. But that condition is one in which, Texas Tech will love to have, and they will take. But what the NCAA is going to do about this is almost certainly appeal, and they're also going to make sure that the rest of this injunction is enforced. There's part of this that prohibits Sorsby from practicing, playing, or otherwise participating with Texas Tech's football program that they want done, right? I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think that the NCAA is going to get an injunction that prevents or gets an appeal to this injunction that prevents Brendan Sorsby from rejoining this team. Jeffrey Kessler, though, who represented Brendan Sorsby throughout this process, told Yahoo Sports, "This is a just result. He will continue in treatment, devote himself to his team, and educating others about the dangers of gambling addiction, and there is no damage to the competitive integrity of NCAA game. Statement from Brendan Sorsby goes like this: the NCAA strongly disagrees with the court's ruling. The statement from the NCAA about Brendan Sorsby goes like this. Woof. The NCAA strongly disagrees with the court's ruling in Sorsby's case and is deeply concerned about the damaging, far-reaching, and broadly destabilizing ramifications of this outcome, which undermines and corrupts the integrity of sports. The NCAA is committed to supporting student-athlete mental health, but must continue to aggressively defend against actions that defraud college athletics and threaten competitive integrity, such as betting on one's own sport." This is, again, this continues to be wild news. And I don't know that this judge has really understood what might be laying in wait for this, for college football after this ruling that he's given. I don't think that you're going to find too many fans outside of Lubbock, Texas that are in on this. I think most people have been heard on this, that they don't think that it is at all, not even just fair, but in the interest of the game for Brendan Sorsby to do this. Because you really got to take a look at what Brendan Sorsby has already copped to. Like, going into this, we know that the NCAA and Texas Tech had stipulated the facts. And because they stipulated the facts, Texas Tech made Brendan Sorsby ineligible and then immediately began the reinstatement process and wanted the NCAA to reinstate him as a player. The NCAA says, nah, we're not going to do that. So he has still no other recourse if this didn't go well. This was his last effort. We also know that Brendan Sorsby had bet more than $90,000 over the course of his college football career so far. We know that he threw $60,000 into a sports book account with a friend of his. We know that he bet on his own team while a quarterback at Indiana 2022. We know that he bet all kinds of sports while starting quarterback at Cincinnati. We know that gaming commissions had been flagged by this, that the sports books had flagged this. We know that he had placed more than 10,000 total bets on multiple sports and had an addiction that led him to even throwing money at whether or not the next pitch was going to be a ball or a strike. We also know that the NCAA has really hard and really good rules for players, coaches, staff members gambling on sports, let alone the sport that they participate in. We know all this. This is all true. This is all what it's been. For us to get this far and for a judge to say, yeah, I don't think that any of that matters. I think that his gambling addiction is what it is, right? That's the thing that needs to be treated. That's the thing we need to talk about. We don't need to talk about perhaps the activity that was going on, just gambling on the game, as opposed to what it might mean for him personally. And I think this is also going to change how the rest of college football and college athletes get to navigate gambling in the future. This is not going away, guys. Like, this is, if anything, has made it really difficult for anybody to get in trouble and face real consequences for gambling on sports, let alone gambling on a team. Imagine your, I'm not going to say your, imagine this being the norm, right? That, oh, snap, I gambled on my team. I'm sorry. I get suspended for 2 games, and the 2 games to start the season, the 2 games that don't mean anything. I'm with the NCAA on this, and I think most people are, right? Brendan Sorsby's got to play football. That's what it looks like. Unless the NCAA gets an appeal to this injunction, Brendan Sorsby's got to play football. And I'm going to cover him as a dude that is playing quarterback at Texas Tech. But this is now the dominant story that also follows around Texas Tech. There's no getting around that. This was one of the major college football stories in the sport all year. And this is just who we're going to be talking about. And when Big 12 Media Days come around next month, this will be the topic, right? We'll probably ask a bunch of coaches and players what they think about Brendan Sorsby being allowed to play college football. Sir Joe McGuire is going to answer these questions, probably get tired of answering these questions. The players he brings to Big 12 Media Day are going to have to go to bat for their mans, right? And then every single game they play, fans and or coaches and or players are going to say out loud, why is this dude being allowed to play college football at all? I believe that the NCAA is not looking to just punish Brendan Sorsby, and I think that's an important point to make. I think the NCAA was also looking to take care of Brendan Sorsby, and him going into rehab for 35 days is a great start, but it's also an addiction, right? It means it's with him forever. It's the thing that he has to manage, and the people around him have to manage, and that is another layer to him that we know about that we just don't factor in for other players because we don't need to. And this injunction that, says, hey, look, if people are really mad, he's going to have to sit out those 2 games, kind of gets down to, I don't think you really understand how this game works for us as college football fans. One of the things that I've talked about on the show is gambling money supports a lot of the content that is made in sports, period. Just period, right? It's supported this show. Hopefully it will continue to support this show, but it is also a very clear line that I draw with you, right? As the viewer, as the listener, to adapt and respond. By the way, thanks so much for getting us to an even bigger number of people that watch the show. More than 170,000 people have subscribed to this show. And I like to think that a lot of that is because you can trust me, because I'm authentic, my energy. I have opinions I'm sure many of you disagree with, and you'll tell me, right? And you have opinions that I disagree with about a lot of things, but particularly college football. And we might disagree on this, but what I don't take for granted is that you can believe in my interest, and you can believe in my interest in the sport, I should say. And you can believe that what I'm giving you is the best that I got and on the level, and not trying to drive you towards some outcome. And the reason I say that is I'm not going to bet on college football games. I don't think I'm going to bet on, individual sports, period, just because I don't think that benefits you or this show. I am going to tell you that I look at a spread and I'm like, I don't know about that one. I like this better than I like that. Let's say Ohio State, Texas is the line is, let's call it taking the points for Texas. Maybe I tell you to do that. Maybe I don't. But that's going to be my advice to you as a college football dude. It's not going to be me trying to benefit from what I know, other than getting to do my job, right? I think now people are going to look at Brendan Sorsby and ask those questions of him. And they're going to question his integrity, and they're going to question the integrity of Texas Tech. Are those things fair? Not necessarily, but you're in this position where you have to talk about these things openly, or you can clam up, you can be quiet. Generally speaking, though, when people clam up and are quiet, other folks make up a narrative. They fill the gaps. Like, no comment doesn't mean people don't think about it. Doesn't mean that people don't think of what they already believe. Let's take it to a different discussion here, because I want to make sure that I get this point and I drive it home. I have a belief that the University of Michigan broke rules leading up to winning its 2023 national championship. That Connor Stallions helped organize the electronic video recording of multiple, damn near 36 teams' signs and signals to code break them, put them in a book, so that if they played those teams, they would know what's coming. I believe that. And I think many people believe that. And that's why we look into 2023 Michigan Wolverines and we always go, I don't know, man. And Michigan's willing to put up with that, right? For their end, they're going, that's fine. That's okay. We don't care. I talked to a Michigan fan just this weekend, and it's like, show me the evidence that we cheated. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, man. Here, though, he said he did it. And because he's sorry, that's great. That's part of the rehabilitation process. But that doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all for this. That just doesn't have to be it, right? You do have to endure a punishment that we all think is appropriate, not the one that a judge in Lubbock thinks is appropriate. And when I say we all think is appropriate, because the NCAA should be the arbiter of what is fair and not fair in this sport. When we talk about Reggie Bush and giving his Heisman back in the early aughts, that seems quaint now. But at the time, it broke the rules. Ohio State, Tattoo Gate. They gave away their gold pants in trade for tattoos. Today, that's just name, image, and likeness. But at the time, it's breaking the rules, and they suffered the consequences. The idea that Ohio State received a bowl ban on a team that finished 12-0, had every opportunity to win a national championship, because those guys basically did NIL, pales in comparison to 2026, when we have evidence and we know Brendan Sorsby was betting on games that he was forbidden to bet on, betting on teams he's forbidden to bet on, doing it more than 10,000 times with almost $100,000. That feels real open and shut to the rest of us. And it also opens up this question of, okay, so what is actually wrong here? What is actually against the rules? Because we would all, big part of question about tampering, big question about the college football playoff, how you get in. What are we going to allow? And what I've come to find out from the NCAA members is they are all for these rules being enforced until it is them that needs to be enforced upon. Like it's Tennessee and Joey Aguilar trying to get another year eligibility because he doesn't think his time at JUCO should count toward his NCAA clock. Sorry, dog. Them's the rules. Didn't get it. Owen Heineke played 15 minutes of lacrosse at Ohio State, transferred to Oklahoma, lost a year of eligibility, wanted it back, went for the injunction, was granted it in Cleveland County. But that's against the rules. Your clock starts when your clock starts. Trinidad Chambliss got the same treatment as Owen Heineke. And now Brendan Sorsby, man. We have allowed the courts to mandate what the rules are going to be for college football. But more specifically, we have allowed the courts to bend and or even break the rules for one program or another, while another judge might not do the same. So it's not even uniform across college football. And I think a lot of that comes back to its administrators and people in charge. I think if we could get everybody to agree, we still would have these fights, because nobody wants to feel like they're the person that's got to suffer in a year where, again, Texas Tech expects to be really good. Texas Tech expects to go all the way back to the Big 12 championship, make the college football playoff, and maybe play for a national championship. But we can't keep doing this. We can't, because now we're undermining the integrity of the game, not just with Brendan Sorsby, but with those other cases that I meant. And so when Nick Saban says last Wednesday during the Senate hearing about Protect College Sports Act, I'm thinking to myself, he said we have no rules. There are no rules. He's talking about budget. I think he should have been talking about this. I think he should have been talking about, do the rules even matter in college football right now, as far as eligibility is concerned, and what rules you can break. And Brendan Sorsby broke one that many sports fans believe is a scarlet letter. It is a cardinal sin. You can't come back from it. And the judge in Lubbock, Texas, at least for now, said, 2-game suspension. It's fine.